Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is the Rudy Giuliani Show on Lindell TV. So as we speak, of course, they're still, I assume they haven't taken a recess. They're still on the Hill in the Senate discussing the big, beautiful, gorgeous, terrific, wonderful, lovely,
Mr. Wicker,
luscious
Mr. Wicker.
bill. And
Wow.
it seems like, but of course the vote is so close you can't just be 100% sure. It seems like the Republican votes are there based on where the no's were the other day. It looks like Tillis is against and Paul is against. Of course, Tillis and stepped out of the Republican Party as a result of it, or was thrown out, one of the other. That was a fair conclusion. And Rand Paul probably is being given a little more leeway because he's an ally on many, many other things, and in many ways a very productive senator. And if it's going to mean that the bill isn't going to go down, that's one thing. You still have 3 or 4 others that could go a little funny on you. So you have to be very, very careful. We can lose 3 votes, right, Ted? 3. And then with 3 votes, then we have the vice president who's ready to vote. If we lose 4 votes, it ain't gonna be a big, beautiful bill. So what's involved right now and what's holding it up? Now, right now in front of the Senate, it's just a couple of issues. This is all going to change later tonight if it passes and it heads across the aisle or across the Capitol to the House, because a lot of the money they saved, they believe has been put in jeopardy or has been restored to the deficit. So they're going to want to. They don't want to find other ways to try to take care of that. Now, do they have other ways or don't they? Or do you come to some one provision like it did with Medicaid for several people? So right now, here's what it looks like right now. Let me see if I can show this to you on the board here. This is what it looks like right now. If we can put this up, Ted. First of all, we have to realize this is a tax bill. Above and beyond everything else, this is the most important part of it. There was a thought in the Senate to just pass it as a tax bill and forget the other 2 parts of it, and also maybe even forget the debt limit being increased and do that a little later. But in any event, and this is the part that, should it not pass, will become a disaster, because one of the largest tax reductions in American history, which is maintaining, in a way, it's maintaining the present deduction and then adding on to it. Or the other way around, if it doesn't pass, it's all those taxes come back. So this is a yes or no situation. Either we're going to be massively hit with a tax, or we're going to get a very, very nice long-term, in some cases, permanent tax break. So the SALT deduction limit is going to go up from 10 to 40,000. It looked like that's the state and local taxes. So that's really that was a tough one, because for most Republicans, this would be a no-brainer because it doesn't affect Republican states by and large. The heavy tax states are the Democratic states, and the people who are affected by this are people who pay very heavy state and local taxes because they get to deduct only $10,000 of it. Before the Trump tax cuts, they got to deduct all of it. So for somebody in Florida, this means nothing. For somebody in New York, this is very important. But you could also make the argument that the guy in Florida is subsidizing the guy in New York and encouraging Hochul and all the other nitwits there, including this new Islamic extremist who's running for mayor, to charge higher taxes. So the compromise is to move the limit up to 40,000, which clearly covers the working guy, woman. And there was some talk that the Senate had knocked it back to 20. But it must be that this is a do or die situation to get those extra. In New York and California, you're probably talking about 8 or 10 votes, members of Congress who feel they won't get reelected unless they can do something on this. So I think this may have turned out to be one of the linchpins. It's by far not the most important measure. It doesn't have that big an impact on the economy. It does affect some people who do need help. We're talking about middle class working people, not necessarily lower middle class, but middle, upper middle maybe, but all definitely working people, not billionaires. There's very little in here for billionaires, by the way. What a bunch of bull that is. Then there's no tax on the first $25,000 in tips, and $12,500 in overtime. So that becomes a great. So for example, a waiter who works in a restaurant and he's lucky enough to make $20,000 in tips. Under the old law, he'd be lucky if he kept 14,000, 15,000 of that. Now he'll pick up another 5, 6, 7,000. Similar calculations with overtime. The 4,000 to 6,000 deduction for seniors sounds strange. Why do they get a deduction? This is really Trump fulfilling his promise to not tax Social Security. That's the Social Security earnings, roughly, of most Americans. For some reason, there's a technicality in the law that you cannot reduce. I guess another law would have to be passed, which would get out of this process of reconciliation, and you need 60 votes for it. So instead, they calculate a $4,000 to $6,000 deduction because that's roughly what someone would get for Social Security as their Social Security benefit for the year. So if not all of it, most of the Social Security now will be tax-free. The child credit increases to $2,500 in the House version and $2,200 in the Senate version. Maybe they could agree at $23,500, $23,550. I think maybe they could come together on that one.
Right.
Again, please note that is not a tax cut for the billionaires like the lying, miserable, dishonorable, and disloyal Schumer keeps saying. This is a tax break for the rich. Well, I'm sorry, the rich people aren't worrying about a $10,000 to $40,000 state and local tax deduction. The rich people aren't worrying about tips. They don't really usually. Most of the billionaires I know don't work for tips. Chuck E. Cheese, you know that? Yeah, just go back and double cross Israel twice today. You'll feel better. And I don't know. You think billionaires get paid for overtime, Ted? I don't think so. Nor are they worried about whether Social Security is taxable or not, or child tax credits.
Yeah.
That whole thing is for the middle class. Will you get down on your knees and pray to God to forgive you for being such a damn liar? Pathological? $1,200 in tax cuts for the wealthiest households. I think that's the way it works out. That's and it's $500 to $1,500 for the middle class. That's the way the whole thing will work out, so that it's a fairly across the board tax cut for everybody. The new spending is all in places of great priority. $46 billion for the wall, $45 billion to $100 billion to stop the Nicaragua, the Iranian spies, the Chinese spies, the rapists, the murderers, the human traffickers, all of Biden's invitees from coming into the United States. And also to help us get them out of the United States so they stop destroying our country, including our culture and our civilization. 10,000 new ICE agents as opposed to IRS agents. Better idea, right? And 25 billion, really a down payment on Golden Dome. Golden Dome is, of course, the nuclear shield that Trump wants to put in, and he wants to start. He started it already, and then cuts and restrictions. There are new work requirements for adults on Medicaid. In other words, there can be workfare for Medicaid and for food stamps. Boy, they don't like that. That's why every single Democrat voted against that. Democrats are, without any doubt, now the party of dependency. And when you look at the guy running in New York now, they're the party of straight out and out uber Marxism, government-owned grocery stores. Really good idea. Tax credits for all the electric vehicles are out. Now electric vehicles will be treated like other vehicles, and you make your choice. What do you like better? They're going to restrict greatly all of the green ripoffs, which is going to save a lot of money. And there's going to be about a $1.5 million savings that's going to come from Medicaid, food stamps, and green energy, well within the level of fraud, so that people are not going to get hurt in terms of real spending. So that's going to go through sometime tonight. Do we know? Do we have an idea, Ted, where it is right now? I mean, where the process is? Are they going to get it done tonight? Will that actually happen?
That's the plan. The Senate is going through, an endless number of proposed amendments to the big bill, what they're calling a vote-a-rama. The voting is expected to last up until maybe even 10 p.m.
Okay.
At which point they
expect to finish it tonight, correct?
That's right. If we can take a live look at the Senate floor, you'll see a lot of activity.
The Senate's really alive?
Security system.
Hey, look at that. For
and
once,
it won't even be ready
before
the end.
He was a hero in Vietnam, wasn't he?
And now we learned from the Air Force Secretary just last week that the money will be transferred.
Lying Dick. Right?
Yeah. Richard Blumenthal. So
Dick the Fraud.
Right. So as you can see there,
he just got it kind of wrong. He said he served in action in Vietnam, and he never did.
Right. So they're there. They'll be up there late in the.
Kerry exaggerated. He just lied about it completely.
And the reason they're there tonight,
he fits the category of the kind of moral character of a Democrat senator.
right?
And I wonder what he's complaining about. It's probably not true, whatever it is. And how he ever got in the Senate after lying about serving in action is completely a sign of the deterioration of the Democrat Party.
There's Senator Wicker, I think.
So the Senate voted 51-49 to go ahead with this process. So you can see how close it was, right? That doesn't necessarily, they think there's a little bit more support than that 51. They think there's going to be a 52-53 vote. Now, is that true? I don't know. The president and the GOP leaders, meaning the House and Senate, have set a deadline of July 4th for the signing of it. And it's all going to depend on how agreeable the House is when it goes back to the House. Because if they just vote it out the way it is, I'm not even sure you have to have a conference. It might just go right to the president, but that's doubtful. This is probably going to have to go back for some kind of a quick vote to the Senate if there's a major change in it. But I don't think we're going to know. I don't know if we're going to know if there's going to be a major change in it or not. and we'll have to see. I think tonight we're pretty much, the picture is what I gave you. There will not be a major change in it. Some of those things are difficult for the House, particularly since a lot of what they regarded as cuts were restored. And they're working on a debatable calculation process. I don't consider it debatable, but I can see why the parliamentarian would. I'll tell you what that is. So this is the continuation. I mean, 80% of the tax cut, that's a rough number. 80% of the tax cut is a continuation of the tax cut and cuts that Trump achieved in his first term. Because many of them, almost none of them were permanent, and many of them were put on short-term basis. They all come up at the end of this year. So that's the horror of it's not happening. They all snap back in place, and you get like a massive tax increase. It could effectively be 30%, 35%, depending on where you are, what category you're in. And I'm talking about, you saw where the benefits go. The benefits go to the poor and middle class. They're distributed pretty evenly between the poor and middle class and then the rich. The rich are sort of in the middle. They're in the median. The highest benefits go to the middle class. The lowest benefits, but they still get benefits, go to the poor, but they don't pay taxes. So it's hard to give them benefits, right? You actually have to give them money for them to get benefits. So that's almost a misnomer to say that they get benefits. And finally, you know, when they say tax the rich, like the maniac running in New York is talking about, they're paying most of the taxes now. And we got some large portion of Democrat America doesn't pay taxes at all. I mean, I don't know what it is in my old city, but I remember when I ran for mayor, it was 44% didn't pay taxes in New York City. That's a pretty big percentage. So if it stays on schedule, it'll be before the president. It'll be before the president on July 4th. And it also would increase the debt limit, so that would not become an issue in August or September, which is when it would now become an issue. Now, the Democrats, obviously they should all read this bill. But Pelosi is the one who told us they didn't read Obamacare. They're going to find out when it got passed. There's no doubt that a lot of the senators and congressmen don't read the bills completely. They have it explained to them. And it's also true that some of them are conscientious and read them. To have them read aloud by staff members for 12 hours because Schumer wants to be a PRICK, it's like really, he is really a petty, stupid traitor to the Israeli people, isn't he? They spent yesterday and today reading the 940-page bill because nobody listened to it. And even if they did, they're not going to be able to comprehend it with a bunch of people reading it like that. It would have been better served if they all went to a reading room and read it. Well, maybe some can't read. They would, right. Those Democrats who can't read would get help, right. Because when they were in college, they had majored in gender determination, and they didn't pass because they couldn't memorize all 58 genders. How many Democrats do you think can name all 58 genders? And probably more now, because the last time I checked, it was 58. If they could, might be good to send it for some treatment. So we're going to see the only definite dropouts so far are Rand Paul and Tom Tillis. Rand Tillis, yeah. Senator Scott got his amendment through on Medicaid. If it holds in the House, then he's a definite. He'll be a definite tonight, I would think. And if it doesn't hold in the House or it gets compromised, then you get into we have to see, right? Now, the workfare that's been reestablished is a very welcome thing. There's an article today in several papers, including the Wall Street Journal, crediting Clinton with workfare. Not so. Tommy Thompson is credited with workfare, and I'm number 2. He did it in Wisconsin. I did it in New York. And 2 years later, the federal government copied it to good effect, but done away with ultimately by the communists who took over our government. And of course, Obama and Biden would never think of work, even for even the illegals that came in or the immigrants. Nobody works. Working is, it's a communist country. You don't have to work. The suckers will work for you. But welfare spending now, since the time they put in the workfare requirements, is almost 3 times what it was when Clinton passed that bill. That's when he said, we're going to end welfare as you know it. We're going to end welfare as you know it. Now, I don't say he was lying about that, but it is one of those things where you can't find anything Clinton ever told the truth about, because it turned out we're paying now 3 times more in welfare. 3 times more, and the federal debt is 4 times higher. But we have no workfare. This requirement will be 20 hours a week as a condition for able-bodied working age adults to receive Medicaid and to expand the food program. The purpose of that is not to save money. The purpose of that is to restore the work ethic. I was a major advocate and a second person to put workfare into effect, and the one to do it in the largest jurisdiction yet, because I believe the work ethic was the thing that would bring people out of poverty, not a government social welfare program. I think all it does is lock you in poverty. The government social safety net has a lid on it, and it's not a net at all. It's a dungeon. The safety net is the work ethic, your ability to work, your desire to work, and I always say the very best and the strongest social safety net are friends and family. They can love you. The government doesn't love you. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a looming disaster of the worst kind for New York. The disaster that was facing us last November for this country with Joe Biden is now facing people who live in New York City. Might not be as bad. I'm not sure Mondani is the kind of crook that Biden was, but he certainly seems to be an opponent of all of the best interests of the United States, as well as a threat to the national security of the United States, whether he knows it or not, because he advocates things that are extraordinarily dangerous to the United States, and he supports organizations that like to kill Jews and Americans. So we'll be right back, and we will take that New York subject and we'll deal with it because it's now a national issue. That would be a corner I never thought we would turn to someone who's a straight out and out communist and a sympathizer with Muslim extremism. We'll be right back.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Airwater Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, Don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off, site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast, straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com, Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever. And in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver. Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the Intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead the city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the Intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me. I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech.
Quickly, for the people who care about the language and who feel really concerned by that phrase, why not just condemn it?
My concern is to start to walk down the line of language and making clear what language I believe is permissible or impermissible.
How many more New Yorkers are not charged? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan? How many more New Yorkers are not charged for that target?
That's right.
Yeah. So what we just saw, Mayor, there we saw the first clip is Mom Donnie
refusing
Yes.
to disavow his having been at numerous protests in which two things are said that are giveaways to being a terrorist sympathizer and a supporter and a hater of Jewish people. One is from the river to the sea, which is used to indicate eliminating the Jewish people from what they regard as Palestine and a country that they say they have no right to be in. Now, the Jews have been in Palestine a lot longer than the Palestinians. The Palestinians have only been in Palestine. In fact, they've only existed for about 100 years. The Jews have been there for well over 2,000. And the Palestinians have never had a nation in that area. They were a sort of nomadic tribe. So the Jews have a much stronger claim on that as their nation and their country. Palestinians are largely Egyptians and Jordanians. And just to give you a sense of how dangerous they are, not just Hamas, Palestinians, just how dangerous they are because they're taught to kill Americans and Jews. They're not allowed in Jordan or Egypt. That's the group that the guy running for mayor supports. So he refuses to disavow that, and he refuses to disavow globalized intifada. In fact, he's gotten into debates over what intifada means. Well, he doesn't get a chance to define it. It's been defined with the blood of well over 1,000 Israelis. I've been at both intifadas. I actually saw the gunfire at one of them, and they happened twice over the last 25 years. And I don't remember exactly the numbers, but they're in the thousands of, by and large, young Jewish children killed by the Palestinians. You might remember them. They were the Sparrow bombing, the bus bombings. The one that I remember the most was the bus in Jerusalem, and when I was the mayor at the time. And I went there to ride the bus at the request of Mayor Ehud Olmert when it first went back into service to give the people a little morale boost. And then I went there after the Sparrow bombing where 55 people were killed, I believe, mostly youngsters. But the others that weren't killed were very, very seriously injured with nail bombs. And I visited a young girl at the Hadassah Hospital, and she called me over, and she knew who I was because she had come from New York, and she grabbed my hand, and right out of nowhere, she said to me, "Mayor, do you think I'll be pretty again?" Well, I don't know how you ever forget something like that. That, you little shit, Mandami, that's the intifada that you want to globalize. And don't give me this stuff about the human rights. Hamas has no respect for human rights. The Israeli people and the Jewish people have a respect for human rights. This whole thing has been flipped around by communists and by Islamic extremists to become what George Orwell predicted, because that's what you dishonest, horrible, evil people are, the people who support these terrorists. That's why Hamas is on the terrorist list. The Jewish army hasn't gone into Gaza and gone and specifically looked for children and women to kill and rape. I don't even know of any suggestion of rape in Gaza. Well, that's what the attack. That's what the attack on October 7th was all about. It's even all written out. They deliberately tried to avoid troops, and they went after women and children and non-military men in a highly peaceful part of Israel that actually supported them. And they raped them, and they beat them, and they cut their human parts off, and they killed them in front of their parents, and they killed them in front of their children. And Israel's carrying on a war of survival. And when civilians are killed, they are truly collateral damage. And the last thing Israel wants to do, because of the way it's, among other things, because they're humane and they're part of Western civilization, big part of it, they helped to create it. And number two, it's counterproductive for them to kill children. Hamas takes the children and puts them out there to get killed in order to allow people like you to lie and to distort. I don't know if you are an evil person or a stupid person. You're certainly an unaccomplished person. Even if you weren't a communist and a sympathizer with the worst terrorist groups that wish ill to my country and have killed my fellow countrymen, I would think you'd be a joke as a candidate for mayor. You've never done anything in your life. You're a spoiled little rich boy who isn't particularly intelligent. I don't know what you've ever achieved. I have no idea what you've ever done. You've done nothing. You're a 33-year-old little snot-nosed, spoiled snot-nosed, who says absolutely ridiculous things and puts on displays like that and writes tweets like, "My police department, the greatest police department in the world, is racist." And now they're protecting you. They'll protect you because they're not like you. They're good people. They're Americans. I don't know what you are. I know what legally you are, but in your heart, you can't be an American. You can't be an American and be rooting for Hamas. They killed Americans. They sided with a country that's killed a lot of Americans, Iran. I mean, this guy is a major disaster. Now, if I would like to put up on the board, Ted, so you get these in your head, let's just look at what he believes in. I mean, this is like Karl Marx, and he wants to abolish the NYPD. First, he wants to defund them. Then he wants to abolish the NYPD. He wants to abolish prisons. He wants to abolish medical bills. I don't know what that means, abolish medical bills. He wants to abolish private health insurance. He wants to ban all guns. He wants to legalize sex workers. And he wants safe injection sites so that people can go around the city more stoned than they are right now. Well, I mean, there are a couple of other things he wants to do also.
Well, Mayor, we have a few more clips now. Let's play this is Mamdani on taxes, among other things. Let's roll the tape.
I've proposed is that we raise $10 billion to pay for our entire economic agenda and start to Trump-proof our city, because we know he'll use federal funding as leverage over this city. And we will do so in two key ways. The first is to match the state's top corporate tax rate to that of New Jersey. We are at 7.25%. They're at 11.5%. Corporations can pay it over there, they can pay it over here. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't just apply to corporations headquartered in New York City. Because when you say this, people will say, well, they're going to go to Florida. Mm-hmm. Wherever you are headquartered, as long as you do business in the state of New York, you are taxable for that corporate tax. We're talking about corporations that are making millions of dollars, not in revenue, but in profit. And the second is taxing the top 1% of New Yorkers. We're talking about people who make $1 million a year or more, taxing them just by a flat 2% tax increase. And I know if 50 Cent is listening, he's not going to be happy about this. Mm-hmm. He tends to not like this tax policy, but I want to be very clear. This is about $20,000 a year. It's a rounding error. And all of these things together, they make every New Yorker's life better, including those who are actually getting taxed.
बात ये नहीं है कि मैं क्या बनूंगा, बात ये है कि मैं क्या करूंगा हमारे कम्युनिटीज के लिए और हर एक न्यूयॉर्कर के लिए। मैं हमारे शहर को अफोर्डेबल बनाऊंगा। न्यूयॉर्कर्स मुश्किल से अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान। मैं ये सब बदलने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ। रेंट फ्री बसेस, यूनिवर्सल चाइल्ड केयर और सस्ती ग्रोसरीज के जरिए। पर आपको एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ।
Who's the most effective Democrat in the country? Mr. Mamdani.
Mayor Wu of Boston.
I don't believe he was doing the ad in a language other than English. He is running in America. One might not know it from the positions that he takes, but he's running in America. Can you explain to me how a major political party selected him as their candidate? Now, let's go beyond him. What's wrong with them? How brainwashed or sick are they? Well, I can't read that, Ted. What does that say?
Oh, so this is his, these are his anti-NYPD tweets. So, in this one, he is...
all this misery, all for money. In the last budget, the city council tried to make the NYPD reduce its overtime budget by half. They simply refused. There's no negotiation with an institution this wicked, the police department. If you have a mayor that thinks your police department is wicked, the criminals are going to take over your city. Or the terrorists, like the groups he sympathizes with. He also, his taxing program sounds to me like it would be declared, based on the most recent Supreme Court decision, probably some of the older ones, unconstitutional. You know, jackass, Supreme Court has decided that whites can be discriminated against and Asians. Oh, by the way, you want to discriminate against Asians as well by making sure they don't get the benefit of their the sweat of their brow, the study they do. You want to do away with programs that where you think too many Asians get into the very good schools. Well, you don't get to do that in America, my friend. That's called racism. Racism by any color is racism. That Supreme Court decided that, and Dr. King decided that. But I wouldn't expect that you would know that, because you do seem, among other things, to not be all that bright. You're kind of a silly idiot, actually. You look like a silly idiot talking in whatever language that was you were talking. Remember, the language of this country is English. This is America. You're supposed to assimilate. You're supposed to be proud of where you came from, and you're supposed to be proud of your background, but you're supposed to love this one more. And that's why you're here. And if you don't, get the hell out of here. This is not, no one has a right to be here. We were fortunate enough, I was, and many of you, to be born here. God gave us that gift. But if we weren't, we don't have a right to be here. If people had a right to be here, the whole world would be here and we'd be ruined. We wouldn't have space for it. So that privilege gets to be determined on some kind of a basis that will make us a bigger, better, and stronger and safer country. That's a civilized, sensible, safe, and productive form of immigration, which is what we had all these years, until the Marxists who want to destroy American culture and civilization got control of the Democrat Party, and they sure as hell have gone a long way to do that. Watching you talking in whatever language you were talking in, it tells me, what are you're running for some underground group? You don't want us all to understand what you're saying? I mean, I don't know if the translation is the correct one. This is an absolute disaster. I don't want to spend much more time on just how bad he is, because if you can't figure that out right away, you're lost.
Right.
And a heck of a lot of people in my city are lost. You know, when Chicago a couple of years ago voted for that maniac they have, that nitwit lover of criminals, they picked the most left-wing, stupid, moronic, idiotic candidate for mayor, among a group of really stupid, moronic, idiotic candidates for mayor, and one good one. They picked the worst one. And they have 65 years of picking only Democrats, and they have weekends of, murder bazaars about which they've never done anything meaningful. And the people being sacrificed are mostly black people. And nothing's been done about it in 65 years by one Democratic mayor after another, including one who wants to be president now. There's something fundamentally wrong, much more than just bad politics with that political party at the core of it. I hate to use words like evil and satanic, but when you listen to a guy like that,
right.
I mean, that the state owns the grocery stores, Marx. You don't have to pay for transportation, Marx. We're going to tax the rich and take their money from them and give it to people who don't work, Marx. Oh, and by the way, since we are not yet a complete dictatorship, you know where you can stop those people from moving out of New York? And when you say you're going to tax them, even if their businesses are outside of New York, on what? The money they make in New York? Is that what you're going to do? Even if it's a de minimis amount, you know that might very well be unconstitutional.
Right.
I sure you don't know this, Mambubi, but we have a constitution, and we actually live by it. It's not like the Islamic Republic of Iran. We don't have a supreme leader, you sound more like that than anything else. And go play that stupid little game about you don't know what intifada means with somebody else. Too many people have died for that sacrilege to be carried on by you. But worse than him, I could use the help of a really brilliant psychiatrist here. There's something seriously wrong with the people of my city. I'm no longer a citizen of it, but my heart is there, and I gave part of my life to it. I cannot tell you how terribly disappointed I am in you. It's probably one of the reasons I left. I just
right.
And I sure hope Andrew and Z get my granddaughter out of there.
Right.
I'm sorry, but ultimately, my country and my family, and you, New York, are jeopardizing both. How many families have you jeopardized?
That's right, Mayor. So, we're receiving word, our outstanding Capitol Hill correspondent, Allison, was able to catch up with Senator Kramer this evening for about 5 minutes. Should we play the tape?
Sure. To discuss the big, beautiful bill?
That's right. Let's play. We got Allison, who caught up with Senator Kramer on the Hill today in regards to the big, beautiful bill.
So I'm glad to hear you out here telling the truth about the bill. Now, I know there was the July 4th deadline. Do you think we are still close to making that? What do you think the timeline on this is looking like?
Well, that deadline is imposed more or less on ourselves, and it's important we have deadlines, because if you don't have deadlines, you never get the job done.
True.
If the clock is running for one more minute, you're always going to try to get one more field goal, right? And so I think we will get there. I'm pretty sure we'll pass this bill before the end of today, Monday, which means the House can come back, within 24 hours or so and take it up. hopefully with the the encouragement of the president and others, the House then can pass our bill and the president can sign it into law before Independence Day.
Well, I do love everything about the bill, except there is one component of it that does concern me, and I really want to get your thoughts on this. I actually had the opportunity to speak with Speaker Johnson about it. It's the AI provision within the One Big Beautiful Bill. Originally, it was unregulated AI in all 50 states for 10 years. It's sounding like now that has been changed potentially to 5 years, but my concern is this AI provision ultimately, I know we are in an AI arms race with China. I understand that angle of it. But I'm also concerned that we may be building the future, I don't know, beast system, surveillance state, digital prison that we've all been worried about for quite some time now.
No, it's a legitimate concern. I think we're kind of living in that anyway. Data is readily available. We all download apps on our phones and we don't look at what we're doing sometimes, and we accept because it's quick and easy. We do the same thing with various software packages. So we're a little bit in that sort of beast, if you will, right now. However, I have concerns with the bill as well. And quite honestly, I don't think it's ready for prime time. I understand Senator Cruz's desire to recognize that we're better if we don't have 50 different regulatory regimes. However, we do have 50 different states. They're not all the same. Some states are dealing with things like that you're concerned about, dealing with things like children's access to social media, for example, the data that is left, and they want to protect against that. You have places like Tennessee that are protecting the music industry. You have places like California protecting, the television and movie industry. Those are all legitimate, and sometimes the states move faster than the federal government. In fact, almost always.
True.
And I'm with you. I think there's a more fundamental point, and that is states' rights versus an overbearing federal government. Now, I understand that AI, like a lot of things, does have an interstate commerce component to it. You don't like to have 50 different regulatory regimes. It does make it more difficult to be the world leader. However, I don't think this bill quite has it right. I think you can do some of that while at the same time you can protect states' rights while at the same time having a federal backstop. I just think to do something this dramatic, that hastily, violates states' rights. So I intend to vote against that amendment to the bill.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that. I like to hear that, and I think it's an important issue that not enough people are really, talking about.
Right. No, you're right. And that's a little bit of the downside of a big, beautiful bill versus components. I was an advocate of taking the Trump tax cuts from 2017, making them permanent law in one bill, and then move on to the other things like Medicaid and maybe SNAP and some of those programs, and then dealing with these even larger issues, and to include maybe some other mandatory spending and larger policies. But this is what we have. It is the downside of a comprehensive bill, because the reality is, and rightfully so, most people's default on something they don't understand is to be against it.
True.
So if you want to have a good AI bill, I think you need to take more time to explain it, get feedback, and include more people.
That's a great point, because AI is here. It's probably here to stay. I don't think it's going anywhere. But we could maybe have a different approach. And historically, Republicans have largely been against big bills,
That's
right?
That's
so
right.
I don't know. Maybe in the future we can make them a little smaller.
Let's do that. We'll put you in charge.
Okay, I'll take it. Okay. Well, Senator, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for taking the time to come out and chat with us today.
Anytime at all. Call anytime.
Thank you.
Well, Allison raised a very, very important issue, and it is very close as to whether or not you should have one big, beautiful bill, as the president preferred, and actually the House preferred it, and he selected the House version, or you have separate bills that can concentrate more attention on specific issues. And she's probably hit on the one that needs the most attention. However, I do think it's unrealistic in the world that we live in today, and the politics of today. This is the president's chance of passing anything is slowly moving away, meaning we're going into an election year next year. And if you whatever you left over for next year, your chances of passing it is probably half your chances of passing it now. And your chances of passing anything really, really good are almost nothing, because the Democrats will whittle it down to nothing. Look, I don't know what they stand for. They stand for anything that's anti-Trump. I mean, one would have thought when this all started, the easiest thing to do would have been a wall because they were all in favor of it. Schumer, Pelosi, you've seen them on television in favor of back in 2010, 11, 12. Then immediately when Trump was in favor of it, they were against it. I mean, so I think President Trump, who in the first term would have said exactly what Allison was saying in the Senator, and I would too, said to himself, I got to get most of it through. Most of it is really good. There are things in there that I worry about, and I would love to have seen many more cuts in expenses. I mean, if we're not even touching the amount of fraud in Medicaid and the government giveaway programs, we're not even touching it. It's a little prick. But this is on the main. This is much, much better than doing nothing. And instead of having to pass something next year, we can try to correct it. That's actually easier to do. So thank you very much for listening in tonight. Pray for all of those who are in harm's way, including our soldiers who continue to be in harm's way, given the difficulties that were imposed on this world by this insane political party, the core leadership of it. And pray for the president that he makes the right decisions. And go over to X. We'll be there at 8 o'clock. And we will continue our analysis, particularly of what's going on in the Middle East, which we didn't get a chance to get to here tonight, but we will. God bless America.